Hello, hello. Today for part 37, we're going to kind of keep the folklore theme going from the Llorona we did and the movie, some of the movies that we talked about yesterday. And we are going to talk about La Anima Sola, which we talked about on part 20, that on October 30th, we kind of honor them. We put out extra water and extra candle because these are souls that are lost, that just have not been able to find rest, that have been abandoned and forgotten by everyone that they love. So with this comes a legend, right? The legend of the Anima Sola. There's a religious aspect and a non-religious story to it. So the story is that her name is Celestina, and she refused to give water to Christ when he was crucified, either out of fear or selfishness, we don't know. The non-religious aspect is that she was this very well-to-do woman and refused to help people. And because of that, she was punished and put into eternal purgatory, where they describe her being engulfed in flames, but not burning. So she feels the heat, she is chained, she is thirsty, and she is lonely. Now, I have a hard time believing that one. I know it's folklore, I don't believe in the Llorona one either, but the reason why I have a hard time with this one is people do a lot worse things. Are they in purgatory too? Because, the story doesn't say. But these are the type of things where it's tradition, right? So you have to pass on the stories, because if not, they do get lost over time. Now, with this Anima Sola, you do have to be careful, because she will request for you to pray to her, to make her promises, and then if you don't meet your end of the bargain, she will come after you. Usually it's like you are requesting vengeance against an ex-loved one, things like that. Also, they say that if you are in a cemetery and you feel like this coldness, it is either her or another lonely spirit. And this is why we had talked about copal in one of the first 10 parts, about doing the copal, because that gives you another layer of protection. So when you do go to a cemetery, you don't leave cargando muerto, and that those spirits don't attach themselves to you. And you may have seen images very similar to this. And I always thought, I don't know, it was like someone burning in hell or something. But no, that is the image of an Anima Sola chained in purgatory. And this one I actually took at a event at a cemetery in Los Angeles. And I remember going up to them, because before this I had seen all these pretty altars, and then I see this, and it was very odd. So we talked a bit, and then he gave me a shot of tequila. So it was all good. So this is just another story as part of Dia de Muertos. Please like, share, follow, and if you see a candle by itself on an altar, know that that's for a lonely soul. When Dia de Muertos rolls around, Guadalajara ranks among the top spots to celebrate. It's a great city to begin with. It's probably too late to go this year, but next year will be perfect because it will be all renovated after the World Cup next summer. Now, here are some highlights for the events of Guadalajara to give you an idea. There are two big desfiles. One is October 25th, and then the other one is November 1st. The difference is one is city-sponsored and the other one is done by the people of the town. There is also a new immersive theme park called Calaverandia, and that will open October 22nd, and you can buy your tickets online for that. La Quepaque, which is actually my favorite part of the Guadalajara metro area, it's about 20 minutes outside of Centro. They're having altars and mariachi and exhibitions all throughout the Zócalo area, starting about October 25th. And this is actually their 15th year doing that. The Feria del Cartón, that just started yesterday. And that's actually a good spot to buy things for your altars if you haven't done that already. And the cemetery that I would recommend is El Panteón de Mezquitan. They have, everybody's going to be there overnight, but you can see both the intimate side of it, and then there will also be music. And the museums in the city also have events and displays. And again, October 25th is pretty much when everything starts in most cities, but just walking around the city is a lot of fun and things are free. The movie Coco is packed with details of not only Día de Muertos, but also la Cultura Mexicana. And if you've been watching the series that I've been posting for Día de Muertos, you'll be able to rewatch the movie and have certain things connect for you. So we'll start with where it takes place. It takes place in Santa Cecilia, which is the patron saint of musicians. El papel picado, the element of air, is used in the opening, and it shows Miguel's family history. The ofrenda has all of the elements. It's representing the sky, earth, the underworld. It has the salt, the copal, the water, the food. And then the photos, the older the pictures, the lighter the images are. Is something that I noticed too. The cempasúchil, you'll notice that they glow. To me, that signals like the souls returning. Notice that there is a border system for the afterlife, which I thought was really ironic. Alebrijes we talked about. There are several references to alebrijes. Dante turns into one. Mama Imelda has one that's a combination of 3 animals that protects the dead. Frida's spiritual animal was a monkey. She often painted them in her self-portraits. The land of the dead is a mix of, everybody knows, is a mix of several cities in Mexico. Guanajuato, San Miguel de Allende, Ciudad de Mexico. There's a dance scene that replicates the Palacio de Bellas Artes. There's a statue of Ernesto that replicates the one in Dolores Hidalgo of Jose Alfredo Jimenez. The bridges all take the form of bones connecting to each other. And then the bridge replicates the pyramids of the sun and the moon in Ciudad de Mexico. The clothing, if you notice, Hector doesn't have shoes in the beginning, which is a sign of him not belonging. And then at the end, when they come back the following year, he has shoes again because his family has accepted him back. Also, on the guitar, there is a gold tooth, just like the one Hector has in the afterlife. And when Miguel meets his ancestors, look at their clothing. They're all regional textiles, rebozo de Michoacán, embroidery from Oaxaca. When Miguel falls into the pool, we talked about that water as purification on the altar. And in the movie, it reveals the truth of who Miguel is. Frida, big icon in Mexico, a big symbol for Mexico. Her performance in the movie is totally wacky, but if you know her art, you know all her art is pure surrealism, and that's the way she painted. So lots to really pay attention to. So comment below of other things you have noticed in the movie, because there are so many. You may think Día de Muertos is only for Mexico, but around the world, people celebrate life after death in their own way. Also remember, Día de Muertos is protected by UNESCO, which is global. So in part 40, you're going to see these connections with ancestors is universal in different countries. In Guatemala, they celebrate el Festival de Barriletes Gigantes, and it's a giant kite festival, and the families build these enormous kites with messages, and it helps the spirits find their way back home. And they do this on November 1st and 2nd, and that matches the element of air on the altar, which we talked about in part 8. In Bolivia, on November 8, they celebrate Día de las Ñatitas, which is Day of the Skulls. People decorate real human skulls with flowers and hats. They bring them offerings. They take them to church. Now remember, in Mexico, in el Yucatan, They also clean and decorate human remains. And in Yucatan, Dia de Muertos is called Hanal Pixan, and we talked about that in part 5. In the Philippines, on November 1st, they celebrate Undas, which is very similar to Dia de Muertos, cleaning the graves, the food, staying overnight. In Japan, they celebrate Obon. Definitely got that pronunciation wrong, but they light lanterns to bring the spirits back home, and then they put them in the river to help them return peacefully. So there we have the elements of air and water. Now here's what's interesting. They celebrate it in the middle of July. And if you recall, in the very first video, we talked about a calendario Maya and how this tradition was actually done in the middle of August, and it moved closer to All Saints Day after the colonization. So each of these traditions look different. They all share the same message. Love doesn't end with death, and it travels through time, through generation, and especially borders. So you can do more research. There's other countries that do it. And till next time.